Hello everybody, it's Pudding here, coming back at you with the second little redo tournament we ran at one of my friends' houses. This is the very first round, and we're going to have Shinny on the left playing Dark Worlds, and we're going to have Steven on the right playing Bubblebeat. So Shinny's going to start with 2 Upstart Goblins. That's going to go ahead and put Steven up to 10,000 life. Then he's going to set 1 card. I can see a DDV in there. Looks like a Silva and maybe a Gates. I think Shinny is playing Ghost Rider's exact list that won one of our online locals. We're going to see Steven just summon a Alias and swing in for 1900, which Shinny is going to take. And after that, Steven is going to think for a while. He's going to set 1 back row, set 2 back row, and pass it over to Shinny. So looks like Shinny drew a skill drain, which he's actually going to set the DDV, not the skill drain, looks like, just so he doesn't want to get blown up by Storm. And then he's going to set a monster. I think Shinny is just doing this to get his Gates live. So obviously Gates needs a Fiend Engrave to be activated, and it seems he's a tiny bit bricked right now. It's now Steven's turn. Steven's just going to attack the monster, and yeah, it's a Brow. So Brow goes to the grave, and this should allow Shinny to actually play some of the cards in his hand. See him draw. That, I believe, is a Silva. And now his engine can roll unless there was an MST from Steven. So we're going to see Gates activated. Shinny's going to think for a bit here. Steven's checking his back row. He's going to banish the Brow. And he is going to go ahead and discard. Let's see what he discards here. He's going to discard the Grapha and draw a card. He draws into a Drag Down, which is live. Steven does have cards in his hands. And he is going to pop Steven's copy of Alias. And yeah, that resolves fine. Steven doesn't have anything to do with that. Then he's going to set 1, and he's going to activate Drag Down. He's going to look at Steven's hand, and each player will choose one of the opponent's cards to discard. Shinny gets Silva and Silva, and looks like Steven has Heavy Storm, Bubble Man, and Reborn. Shinny takes the Heavy Storm. I think that's right, because if your Silva is interrupted here and your opponent Heavy Storms you, you are completely bricked. And yeah, both players will draw a card, and Steven will respond to Silva with Bottomless, and Shinny is going to chain DDV. So we know Steven has a Bowman that's going to hit the grave, and he drew a call off of the copy of Drag Down. After that, we're going to see Allure of Darkness come out from Shinny. He draws a Dark Smog, which is live, and a Brow by the look of things. He's going to banish the Silva. He's going to set 1, and he's going to pass over to Steven. I'm surprised. Did he normal summon that turn? I feel like he could have maybe normal summoned the Brow and then bounced it back. Unless I'm missing something. But okay, we're going to see Steven look at Shinny's grave, sees the graph there. We know he has the Monster Reborn. See the Alias summoned here, and let's see what he's going to do next. If I were him, I'd Reborn the Grapha, just because that means that Shinny doesn't have a Grapha, and he needs to get another Grapha pretty much to out his Grapha. Some Dark World decks do play TT or Compulse, but I feel like it's worth the risk. So normally I would speed this up a little bit, but there's a reason I'm not going to speed this up, and you'll see that in a bit. And yet we're going to see Reborn, and that is going to target the Grapha. Shinny is looking at their graveyard, and will allow that to resolve. Dark Smog, I believe, has to banish one of your opponent's cards. It cannot banish one of your own. So we're going to see Steven attack for 19 with Alias and 3000 with Grapha. Then we're going to see a call targeting Alias to try and go for lethal, and a responsive Dark Smog from Shinny. So that is going to discard Brow, and he's going to draw 2 cards. Sorry, draw 1 card. And banish that Alias, so that'll make the call fizzle. Steven is going to set the last card in his hand, which I believe we know to be Call of the Haunted. Looks like Shinny drew he has a Snow and he has a Drag Down. That Drag Down is not usable because Steven does not have a hand right now, so it is essentially a brick. That's one of the things that's nice in the Bubblebeat matchup. A lot of the times you're setting your entire hand to go for a Bubble Man play, and then you cannot get Drag Down. So we're going to see Gates activated, discard, draw 1, and Snow will trigger. And this is a really, really tough spot for Shinny, because he pretty much has to get rid of that Grapha. Because he doesn't have his own Grapha in the grave. He needs a normal summon plus a discard outlet. And we're going to see he actually did draw a discard outlet. He drew Dark World Dealings off of that Gates. So he's going to draw and probably just discard the Grapha, pop the Grapha, and then he has 2 Graphas in his grave. The only thing is, I'm not sure what that other card in his hand is that he drew. Looks like some kind of trap. If he doesn't have a summon to follow up, that means Steven just wins next turn likely, because we know one of those set cards is Skill Drain. And the other one probably would have been used to stop an attack. We're going to see Grapha pop Grapha. And I think it might be Reckless Greed in his hand. So David's going to go ahead and set that and pass turn. Steven is going to draw, reveal. It's a Torrential that he drew for turn. And he's going to attempt to swing for lethal with Alias. And yeah, that is the game. Shinny scoops, and we're off to game 2. Steven goes up 1-0. Now we're going to have Shinny start again. He's just getting at the life points. And Dark World is one of those decks that can either win on the first turn, or it bricks like a house. The deck's main weakness is itself. So we're going to see Shinny Dealings, and we're going to see a Gemini Imps. So that is just a straight +1 for Steven. And looking at Shinny's hand, I see MST, Reckless, and I think that's it. He's just going to pass. Not 100% sure why he didn't set a Reckless or the MST this turn. I guess he doesn't want to get heavy stormed, because his hand is probably pretty poor. Yeah, I see Grapha, I see Snow, and I see, I think, Silva. So 3 monsters, an MST, and a Reckless. And you really run the risk of locking yourself out of a monster here with Reckless. So Steven's just going to summon Alias and punch for 19. Shinny's going to draw another MST. So now he's got MST, 2X, and a Reckless, as well as 3 monsters that he cannot summon in his hand. He could set the Snow, but I guess he wants to keep it in case he draws a Dealing. And he doesn't have a gate that makes setting the Snow worth it at the moment. Steven's going to draw, shuffle his hand a bit, think on what to do, and we're going to see a Strato summon, and he's going to use the Spell or Trap Destruction effect. So that doesn't target. Shinny has to respond immediately. And we're going to see him go MST on one of the back row, which is a call, another MST on the other back row, which is Torrential, and then activate Reckless Greed. And he's going to draw, and it looks like he drew another 2 monsters. So his hand is, I believe, 5 monsters right now, and he's just going to concede to Steven. So Steven wins the match. Thanks for watching, guys.